All right, welcome back here to the Hill on NewsNation. President-elect Donald Trump vowing to use the military, he says, potentially to carry out his plans for a mass deportation program of illegal immigrants when he takes office on January 20th, 2025. Now, this really shouldn't come as a surprise. Republicans have been talking about this for months, about the possibility. For instance, when I spoke with the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, back in May, he told me this. Do you think the military could be used?
Well, I do. I think desperate times call for desperate measures. The challenge we have, very frankly, is going to be finding and rounding these people up because they're being dispersed around the country, and DHS is not tracking them.
Joining me now, Ken Cuccinelli, former acting Deputy Homeland Security Secretary in the first Trump administration. Ken, thanks for being with us here on the Hill. Appreciate it, sir.
Good to be with you.
So what?
My pleasure.
What does it look like in your view? I know this is something that you've been advocating for, you've been researching. What do you believe this policy looks like come the end of January next year?
So I think the end of January and into February, you will see our military used between legal ports of entry, especially on the southern border, to finally gain control of that border. And so all immigration, all passage of any kind will pass through legal ports of entry only. And so it'll be under control, and people to get in will have to be legally allowed to enter. So that'll be step one.
Doesn't that sound aspirational when you say everyone? You really think that can happen?
Well, I don't think you ever reach 100% of anything, but certainly that's the goal. Someone, somewhere could be missed. But the point is to make it impractical. If you're sitting in, pick a country in Central or South America, because they still have the biggest numbers coming into the United States, and you're asking yourself the question, am I going to spend my life savings on some coyote to get me into the United States when what I see happening at the border is a complete blockage? The answer to that is no. And it will, once it's clear to people who might come into this country that they, as a practical matter, can't get in. And you're right, it'll never be 100%, but it doesn't need to be to drive the numbers coming to the border down into the dirt. And he'll do that using the military between the legal ports of entry.
What parts of the military, what resources or assets? How does that happen?
Well, first of all, on the border, this is a very low. This is a physical presence of people and reconnaissance assets. You're not talking about tanks and planes and so forth. This is just having people there to stop others from entering the country, and you use the recon assets to know they're coming. That's all. That's what it looks like on the border, and in higher passage areas, there will be more folks there. And by the way, the Border Patrol will be there as well. Out in the much more difficult points of passage, out, say, in western Texas, for example, where the border is very difficult to pass, there will be a presence, but it will be a much smaller presence because that's all that will be needed to maintain security in those areas. And by security, I mean blocking people from entering the United States.
I want to ask you about what the governor there in the state of Arizona, Katie Hobbs, said today when asked about this possibility. Here's what she said. I'll get your reaction on the other side. She basically said, Ken, that really her state law enforcement officers weren't going to be involved in this. And I wonder, Ken, that if governors say, you know what, we're not going to be helpful, do you actually need state law enforcement and state police to carry this out? Or at the end of the day, Donald Trump is in charge of the federal aspects of the government and states never get involved to begin with?
Yeah, you don't need state help to do any of it. But particularly the border security is truly properly a federal responsibility. Texas has been taking steps using their self-defense powers under the Constitution, but it's been pretty meager, really. Where the state participation can really increase your efficiency is in the deportation effort, particularly with respect to anyone who comes into contact with their criminal justice system. And for all the tough talk coming from Governor Hobbs and Pritzker and the mayor of Boston and so forth, if Congress cooperates and makes their appropriations conditional on cooperation, which never happened in the first Trump term, then they're going to have to choose between getting federal money and actually assisting with the deportation, at least of criminal aliens. And by criminal, I mean people who commit other crimes after they enter the United States. Boston has been a hotbed of gathering of sex offenders who are here illegally. It's been quite incredible. And the fact that they have refused to cooperate has continued to make their children and communities unsafe.
Ken Cuccinelli, got to leave it there. Appreciate the time, sir. Thanks for being with us here on The Hill.
Good to be with you.
Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.